So, hey there, I'm Michael Hamilton. I'm a traveler, a surfer, and I'm also a vacation rental owner. And today we're going to be talking about the sexy topic of vacation rental insurance for renters. So, this is not about vacation rental insurance for an owner of a vacation rental. This is for the person that's traveling, the person that's like me, that's going to take a trip with my family and books a vacation rental. So, we're going to talk about some of the frequently asked questions. We have a little bit of a unique perspective because I've been both a traveler and an owner of vacation rentals. So we can talk about it. And obviously, as we're entering into some different times and things like that, some other questions are coming up in travel insurance, protecting trips. People want to feel safe and secure that they're going to get value for their money. So we're just going to knock out a few of these questions on this short YouTube video here. And this is a blog article, so you can refer back to it on our website. And does vacation rental insurance for renters exist? The answer is absolutely yes. You have more travelers than ever choosing vacation rentals for a lot of different reasons, more privacy, space, amenities, all these sorts of things. So there has been travel insurance policies that have been designed to cover vacation rentals. So that leads us to the next question. What are the main components of a vacation rental travel protection plan? And typically what you're going to find is a comprehensive policy, one that's a good policy. It's going to have three main components. So we'll start with that. It's going to have vacation protection. So that applies when a traveler needs to cancel their trip, or maybe their trip is interrupted for some other reason. I know during the COVID scenario, there was a lot of areas that were shut down. People's trips got canceled. Sometimes vacation rental agreements have some pretty rigorous language. And a lot of times people aren't given full refunds. So that's where the vacation protection component of an insurance plan would come into place, is if there's a need to cancel or if a trip's interrupted. There's a certain level of damage protection. Obviously, nobody wants that to happen, but accidents do happen, whether we're in our own home or in our vacation home. We might not expect it, but we could be held liable for it. So there is a certain level of damage protection in most vacation rental insurance packages for renters. It's typically up to a certain amount, maybe $1,000, $2,000. Obviously depends on the type of property you're renting there. And then there's also traveler protection, and this covers things like illness, emergency room visits, injury, other medical concerns. A lot of policies now do have COVID included in them. Some of them don't, so you got to be mindful of that. Obviously those are some of the benefits. We like the benefits, but what's the drawback? What's the downside? How much does vacation rental insurance for renters cost? Typically, what I found in my research and also in looking at policies on my own, looking at policies for what would be our renters, they average about 4 to 8%. That's also a U.S. Travel Insurance Association number, but I have seen some estimates come up to 10%. So most likely you're probably going to be, 6 to 10%, but at an average of 7%, for every $1,000 of your trip cost, that's $70. So if we're looking at a trip that costs $4,000, it's about $280 to insure. And obviously this is going to depend on many factors, right? What's the length of the trip, the cost, the property type, cost of local health care, age of the person requesting the policy, obviously how deep is the coverage, and all these sorts of things. So there's lots of different companies that offer vacation rental insurance for renters. A few of the more predominant ones that I found is Travel Guard. Travel Guard seems to have a pretty comprehensive package. A lot of people are familiar with CSA Travel Protection, although that's now changed to Generali. So CSA Travel Protection, you might find that, but it looks like it's changing to Generali Travel Insured International. And then also Warren Buffett's company has joined in. There's Berkshire Hathaway Travel Protection, and all the links are there in this text, so you can get there and get a quote. So kind of a redundant question here, but there's another point that I'll bring out. So what does vacation rental insurance for renters cover? We mentioned those three things: the vacation protection, travel protection, and damage protection. The thing that's also important to realize as well is comprehensive packages also have benefits and coverage that are in effect before you travel and during your travel. So that's important as well. Just make sure you're being covered before and during your travel. Kind of talked a little bit about COVID. It's come up. It's a big thing. Is trip interruption due to COVID-19 illness covered with protection plans? Most of them that I've seen are carrying that type of coverage, although it's just very important to be mindful and ensure yourself that you are being covered for that, because there's probably some plans that might not have that as a default. And then, there's also the concern too. What if I'm simply too afraid to travel during COVID-19? Now, if you're too afraid to travel, standard policies are likely not going to cover that. If somebody is deciding on their own will that they're unable or unwilling to travel for the coronavirus, that's probably not going to be coverable. However, what there is insurance that they've come up with, excuse me, which you can cancel for any reason. Type coverage. So it may be time sensitive, meaning that if you've booked a vacation rental today, you might only have a couple weeks to actually get that cancel for any reason type insurance. Something worthwhile to look into. Obviously, something that can make sense for specific scenarios and for people that are concerned that their travel is going to get interrupted. What I did see is that typically it's not 100% reimbursement under those. They typically cost about 40% more. So if let's say a policy is $500 for easy numbers, if it's 40% more, if my math's right, it would be $200 more. So it would be $500 to a $700 policy. And that's just some things you're gonna have to be mindful about, that cancel anytime type policy. A lot of people ask as well as, what about my travel companions? What about my kids, people I'm traveling with? Typically, yes, everybody staying at the reservation is insured, but there could be some maximums. We talked about cancel for any reason coverage, and we kind of talked about this as well. It's not always an option. It typically has to be done within a couple of weeks, and then the cost is typically about 40% more than a traditional policy. Why do people purchase vacation rental insurance? Why do they elect to do that? Obviously, one of the reasons is peace of mind, particularly in an uncertain travel environment that we're in right now. Somebody lays out a decent amount of money, they can rest assured that it's not going to waste. And the wastes are losses, right? Trips being canceled, trips interrupted. So that's what it covers. Also, as I mentioned before, sometimes vacation rental agreements, policies can be pretty rigid. Oftentimes refunds aren't issued unless property is able to be rebooked. So it can protect against those stricter, rigid policies. Medical, right? There's coverage for illness, ER, injury, other medical concerns. If you have a specific medical concern, you can even add those into a particular policy. Obviously, there might be a cost increase, but that's something that could be important to a particular person. Accidental damage to the vacation property, right? So something breaks and it's expensive, and we don't want to pay for that. So that would take effect there. And then, as I mentioned as well, benefits and coverages in effect before and while traveling. So it's a nice little infographic here as well. Kind of shows who, where, the pre and post departure coverage. What are the top reasons for purchase? And the top reason cited is cancellation, medical, and then personal belongings. I've had many personal belongings damaged. I actually even buy the travel insurance now for airlines, the trip protection. I travel with surfboards. Oftentimes they come out completely crushed, and you're bummed and you're heartbroken when you get to your destination. But at least there is some recourse with being reimbursed for that. So there's a couple other things that I think we have down here. We'll just wrap this up. Is vacation rental insurance for renters worth it? I mean, that question depends. I mean, earlier in my life, when I didn't have a lot to lose, maybe if anything at all, I didn't see travel insurance as worth it. As I've gotten older, trips have become more expensive. There's more people depending on me. I can afford to lose a little. I'd rather not lose a lot. That's my perspective at this point. I'm not going to say I always purchase travel insurance, but I'm absolutely considering it for most trips. And then you have, booking a vacation rental through a VRBO, an Expedia, Airbnb. Do they cover you? They don't cover guest damage. Guests are responsible for damage, but in these two agencies, these two big online travel agencies, they're a little bit different. So with Airbnb, a host can set a maximum that they can charge a guest. So a guest might take that into consideration when they're looking to book. Well, if they have a very high damage scenario that they could be charged for, maybe $1,000, $2,000, they might not book it, but typically hosts are recommended to have about 250 or 500, and that's the maximum that they could charge somebody. So people can get charged up to those limits. That's where vacation rental insurance for renters would kick in and be beneficial. VRBO does offer something called accidental damage protection, which you can elect to purchase at the time of a booking. So if you purchase that, then you're covered up to a certain amount of damage. I'm not sure what it is. It could be $500 or $1,000, things like that. And the last question here is, I'm renting a vacation home. Does my homeowner's insurance cover me? There's a couple things in homeowners insurance that may cover personal property coverage and liability coverage. Personal property coverage could come into play if some belongings are damaged or lost. Obviously you're going to have to check with your specific policy. Liability could come into play in some very, very minor scenarios, but typically in what I've found is you don't want to be relying on a homeowner's insurance policy. You don't want to be relying on necessarily a credit card to cover you for a vacation and an entire trip. So, I hope you found this useful, whether you're a vacation rental owner, a traveler to a vacation rental, or somebody else that's just looking to learn a little bit about travel insurance. We have a lot of different opportunities on our website. You can invest with Swell Beach Bungalows. We are a boutique brand of coastal vacation rentals, and our rentals do very well, and we're able to work very well with investors. And also we have some learning opportunities. We know there's people coming behind us that want to learn, and they don't want to learn from just a single unit vacation rental owner. They want to scale a business and understand that there are some differences from the person that owns one rental to the person that owns many rentals and more real estate. So however your vacation rental business is going, we hope that's great. And if you're traveling to a vacation rental, it's a great, awesome experience. Hope you enjoy it.